But we are excited to continue our study in Proverbs. Barry asked me to go to the dangers and benefits of friendships. So that's what we'll be looking at this evening. I'd very much like to talk through each verse, gain what you have and what you see in that. If you don't hit on the points that I thought you were going to say, I might add some more. But I would very much enjoy discussion on this as we go through it together. And I'm just thankful for the opportunity to study together. Before we begin, let's have prayer, and then we'll jump in. Lord, we are grateful for this day, for the things that you have provided for us to get halfway through our week and have all the different things going on in our lives and get to step away from them, get to uplift each other, to be with our brothers and sisters, and to spend time in your word. Let it be fruitful, and please open our hearts and minds to change and to grow for you. Lord, we love you, and it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right, so page 13 in the little booklet. If you need, there might be some in the back. Clyde, do we still have a few back there or no? If anyone needs. I do not know if he's been leaving them. We can try to find some. But we'll call out all the verses. It's just verses in Proverbs. If you don't have a booklet, that will be all right. So this is the dangers and benefits of friendships. Our first passage that leads us into talking about the rest of them is Proverbs 1, 10 through 19. So we're going to turn and read that. I believe Jacob gave us a good description of that when he was doing Proverbs before, so we'll not dive too deep into that, but I want to remind us of it. So Proverbs 1, verse 10. My son, if sinners entice you, do not consent. If they say, come with us, let us lie in wait for blood. Let us ambush the innocent without reason. Like Sheol, let us swallow them alive, and whole, like those who go down to the pit. We shall find all precious gods. We shall fill our houses with plunder. Throw in your lot among us. We will have one purse. My son, do not walk in the way with them. Hold back your foot from the paths, for their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed blood. For in vain is a net spread in the sight of any bird. But these men lie in wait for their own blood. They set an ambush for their own lives. Such are the ways of everyone who is greedy for unjust gain. It takes away the life of its possessors. All right. So does anyone want to summarize that or remember what maybe Jacob remembers how he summarized that? Or we're talking in the concept of friendships. I would say it's a matter of being led to do bad things. If you want to expand on the...
I mean, there's a lot you could say, but thinking about last week tonight, something that seemed to come up time and again is a part of wisdom is being aware that there are bad people in the world, and don't be completely naive to think that everybody's just a good guy. Just be aware that you're making a decision every day who you're going to be around.
Yep.
There are bad people out there, and you never know their heart, especially first.
That's a really good point and a good balance to have of we want everyone to go to heaven. We want to love them. We want to do for them. But at the same time, being meek doesn't mean letting people do everything and harm you and hurt you. And that's not what we're called to do. Good point. Well, I do want to get into the meat, so I'll give you other chances to talk through this too. We've got kind of three sections that we'll cover in this. The first section, evil companions, corrupt, and then the benefits of good companions, and then my favorite part, ways of maintaining godly companions. How do you apply it? How do you make good use of this and keep our good relationships? As we talk about in these passages, I think it would be a good idea to give a kind of group definition of friend. Throughout all these passages, there's friend, companion, talking about being mixed with, neighbor. Without going all Hebrew on us, someone share with us your definition of this, of these words.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Neighbor is someone you
That was good. So people you can rely on, a neighbor being close by physically may not be as emotional a connection as a brother.
Yeah, I would kind of add on to that, like a neighbor would be somebody who is close to you, who's near you physically, but you may not necessarily choose to associate with them. You may or may not. A friend is somebody you choose to invite into your sphere so that you would invite them to influence you in some way, for better or for worse.
Good. I like that. And what else? Yeah. Okay.
Well, I think one of the later Proverbs, a little further over, 17:17, says a friend loves at all times. And I think this addresses the strength of the bonds that should exist between us and other people. Friends must be constant to each other at all times. Otherwise, it's not true friendship. And that's what it would be if it's really sincere. So if one friend falls into bad times, like poverty or disgrace or whatever, I'm still to love that person regardless. They may be down, you need to love them. So that makes it friend.
So what I'm hearing from both of these two is more of a deeper connection. Right? This is not an acquaintance. This is a deep friendship, a bond. There's actions. Trying to make the comparison to Jesus got flack for being around sinners. I don't know that he was friends with them, right? And so as we talk about some of the bonds here in these passages, wanting to make a stark comparison between those. Anyone want to add to that definition, friendship, neighbor?
When I think about neighbor, I can't ever think of Jesus saying, well, who's the neighbor? Who is my neighbor? With a good Samaritan, and here you could look at it the other side of the coin too, where your neighbor is anyone whom you could influence for the good. And godly wisdom would teach us that in order to be righteous as individuals, we are to be guides. We have a responsibility to strengthen those around us and bless the world, and God blessing the world through us in our righteousness. And then you see the opposite of that, the wicked people just destroy. It's a path of destruction.
I'm glad you brought that up because there is a verse that talks about neighbor and brother and comparing those two as different. But for the most part, I actually did check some Hebrew, and most of these are interchangeable as we look at these passages. Between friend, companion, I think it said intimate, fellow citizen, all giving that same idea of a neighbor or a friend. The word was re-ah. Yeah, I'm sure that's not the pronunciation. But there is a comparison of the neighbor also being a friend. So yes. But we'll look at some dichotomy of that as we get in. All right. Anyone else? Okay. First passage, Proverbs 12:26. The righteous should choose his friends carefully, for the way of the wicked leads them astray. Choose friends carefully, the way of the wicked leads them astray. What does this passage say to you?
People you hang out with can have a great influence over you.
Yeah. Choosing the friends, I put it's an action that leads to other actions. So hanging out with them, choosing them, then can lead to the other things of going astray. Good. What else? So the opposite of being led in the back end of it. Yeah, a good comparison there.
I think we need to be careful that it does not say that we should not associate with the wicked.
Yeah.
That's a very important note to me anyway. But we are to influence they don't influence us. So we got to be very careful. And the choice of our friends too. I mean, we just can't just hang around each other as a group here at Woodlands. We've got to get out and mingle and build relationships with people, etc. But we need to be the one doing the influencing for righteousness, for godliness.
I snuck it in a moment ago. Does anybody remember what my favorite word is? It's been a minute. Okay, that's fine. Yay! Gold star. You do. 2 points for Gryffindor, yes. So balance, as Chad's talking about, there's a level of being around people and wanting to help them, but then that friendship bond is different. I really like when it says intimate. Like if you know someone intimately, you know what they're dealing with. You know, I mean, maybe you know birthday and some of those fun facts, but like you know them as a person. They walk into the room and you can feel their presence, right? You know how to feel around them. And so I think that's the difference of the friendship of, and again, who's leading who. You're not going to be influenced by someone that you don't have a lot invested in. Anything else in this passage before we go to the next?
So I was confused by this passage because I also read it in ESV and the two didn't make sense when I was like, how do I reconcile these two verses? So I did a comparison of like 6 different versions, but the gist is you're mindful according to the people that you're around, dealing with your neighbor, choosing your friends carefully. The guide part is weird, but I guess it just is a mindfulness.
I like that, mindfulness. I mean, I see the choosing, as we understand what a friend is and that bond, so then choosing, and it's understood, you're going to be with them, you're going to be doing the things they're doing. So I would say, choosing as friends versus the way of the wicked, they're going to lead them astray. That does give a good juxtaposed position there for each of them. Good. Yes?
The NIV says cautious, and I thought that was interesting.
We replacing which word?
Instead of choose,
Oh, okay.
it says to be cautious in friendship.
Okay. Yeah. Just gives the same idea, but being thoughtful, mindful. I think, as Mara was saying, I like it. All right, continuing on of talking about the bad side of things, the evil companions. Proverbs 13:20. He who walks with men will be wise, but the companion of fools will be destroyed. What sticks out to you here?
Lots of people are brought to ruin by bad company, for sure. Multitudes
Oh, yeah.
of people.
The bad company corrupts good morals, and who you're with, definitely. Driving the point home here. Good. Who else?
Well, I think when he talks about he who walks with wise men will be wise, so I think that just says that if you are with a wise person, that wise person will be making wise choices, and you, in turn, if you're with that person, will be influenced by those wise choices and make those same wise choices, and vice versa. If you're with a companion of fools, or with a companion of fools, you'll be destroyed. So again, I think that a lot of times when you're choosing your friends, sometimes fools will allow anybody in. You know what I'm talking about? I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but they will. There's no discerning of a type of person that they'll let be their friend. So I think that when you are looking for friendships, and I know a lot of times it's easier to fall in with a crowd that accepts you no matter what. And so if you're looking for those people that are wise, and also looking at what they've done prior to, and what kind of reputation they have or whatever, if you're with a wise person, I think that it's pretty good odds that you're not going to do things that will destroy you.
I like that. And focusing on walking with them, walks is the key word I like in this section. Do you see something in the second half that compares to walks? if you're going to correlate a word in the second half. Say again?
Suffer.
Suffer? I'm thinking companion. It may show that in a different version. Companion is what I'm thinking of painting that picture. Like, what does it mean to walk, to be a companion with them? Again, more actions, things that you're doing with them. Go ahead, Jacob.
It's also the companion of fools. Don't deceive yourself in thinking that you can hold fire close to your chest and not be burned. If you're hanging out with that company, you will suffer. There is no way around it. So just reinforcing that over and over.
Don't be deceived, right? Many times it's like flashing red lights. Do not be deceived, and then tells us something. So don't think that you can be a companion. You can walk with them and be like, no, it's okay. I'll be all right. No, you will be destroyed. All right, let's look at the next verse. Proverbs 18:24. A man who has friends must himself be friendly. A man of many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. All right. What sticks out to you here?
Well, first of all, I think Solomon is recommending friendship.
Good.
It's good to have friends.
We're not meant to be alone. Good.
And he's also showing how to begin friendship, how to grow the friendship, so that it's sustainable.
The old adage, the best way to get a friend is what? To be a friend. Go ahead.
I was thinking in this passage that it's also a lot of friends. To me, it's great having a lot of friends, but how much depth can you really have when there's so many and are superficial? Whereas then in this second part of it, brother, you have a much deeper relationship when you're spending time with one person versus dividing.
I agree. I saw this as like permission to have a best friend. Like, that's okay to have someone that you are extra close with. And as you said, a man of many companions may come to ruin. Why is that? Yeah, a lot of different influences. Good. What else?
When it comes down to it, it doesn't have one count. You may have many, but they may not even any of them are there when you're
You may not have someone when you really need them. As Karen said, it would be a shallow relationship, so there's not somebody you can really call on. In the teaching world, we'd say, when I was a school teacher, it's okay to have favorites. It's not okay to show favoritism. So there may be kids in the classroom you like, but don't show favoritism, to be fair. But this is saying it's okay to have a close friend. If you're only juggling a lot of less deep friendships, it can come to ruin. Good. Yes?
Gary, sometimes I use the phrase that a friend is somebody that knows all about you and is still your friend. That's what I think of this, In my life, I think each of us here tonight, it's a minority of people that we can really say that's a true friend that loves me, that forgives me, that stays with me, the things. That's Jesus.
Yeah.
For us, as God's people. But the best friends that I have, besides Christ and my wife, are my brothers and sisters.
Excellent point. Excellent point. All right, let's move to the next one. I'm trying to make sure we got a lot of verses. So if you do have something like, oh, why is he moving on? I really need to say this comment. Please just interrupt me. Otherwise, I'll try to keep us moving. So Proverbs 16:18 through 19. Pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Better to be of a humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoil with the proud. There's a lot going on here, but I think we can sum it up in just a few words. Who wants to give it a shot for us?
We'll have a fall. That's for sure. Pride will have a fall.
Yeah. I combined pride and haughty, and then I correlated destruction and fall. How about the last sentence? Dividing spoil with the proud. How do you compare that to being humble, having a humble spirit? If you divide the spoil, who has it?
Lots of times it's the crowd.
Sure. Well, and if we're dividing up the spoil in this room, who has the spoil? Who gets it? Yeah, we all get lesser, but we're all getting part of it. It's a. Do you want some of the credit, some of the pride, whatever it is? Oh, you're just going to get a piece of it. It's better to just be humble in spirit than to even share in the glory of whatever the activity is or whatever the spoil may be. That's what I'm seeing. Sorry I didn't ask that very well. Other comments on this one?
This is sort of a paradox in a way. People of the world can't really understand and accept this in that way. It's better to be poor and humble than to be proud and rich.
That's a good point. Like many other things, this is backwards from how the world would value it. Let's look at the next verse, Proverbs 24:12. I'm also just wanting to get through the ones that talk about the evil stuff. So we'll move through. 24:12. Do not be envious of evil men, nor desire to be with them, for their heart desires evil, and their lips talk of troublemaking. First thought that came to mind when I read this one was, why would we want to be with them? Help me understand. What are you seeing here? Why would he say that? Don't be envious of evil men. Why would we want to be envious of evil men?
Power. Desire for power.
Yeah. If they're evil, they probably have power. You're going to...
So also be greedy. Sometimes it seems like everything is going great in their life, and you want to be part of that.
We don't always see behind the scenes. We might just see, well, that looks like they've got everything going great. They've got a lot of money, got a lot of power. But their heart devises violence, and their lips talk of troublemaking. Does that mean they haven't done it yet? It's ongoing. Yeah, if their heart, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Like if their heart is devising violence, I mean, it's what's coming out. So their fruit is there. Don't be envious when other people have things that you don't have. We're getting out here.
Do you think there's also a little piece here they might be talking about? If they're saying their lips are talk of troublemaking, maybe bragging about the things that they've done or the things that that would make somebody envious because they hear. Maybe they don't look at it as evil. They look at it as being something that I want that power, or I want that thing, or I want that position, or I want whatever that they have. Because they're talking about it and talking about how great it is, how wonderful it is. Even though, like you said, you don't see behind the scenes and those people that they had to, step on to get where they're, or someone that they might have to deceive or whatever, that kind of stuff. So again, I think that if their lips are talk of troublemaking, it just makes me feel like someone might be bragging, and that would be envious.
That's a really good point. Kind of a cyclical way of looking at it. That causing us to try to be envious of them, and they probably want that. That definitely could be a way of troublemaking. Was there one other?
I was just, I've got a different translation here, but is this verse marked properly or wow? It's verse marked.
It should be 1 and 2.
Good. Sorry. All right, we're going to move to the next one. Last one in this section, 23:19 through 21. Hear, my son, and be wise, and guide your heart in the way. Do not mix with winebibbers or with gluttonous eaters of meat, for the drunkard and the glutton will come to poverty, and drowsiness will clothe a man with rags. Okay, again, a lot here, but so that we can get to the others, quick summation. Mixed with the winebibbers, gluttonous eaters of meat. We've talked about other idols or other things that can distract. Go ahead, Maura.
Overindulgence in our desires to suck the finances and the drive right out of you so that you don't even care what you have on your body.
Very good. Very good. You're focused on so many of the wrong things. Couldn't even care what they'd be wearing. Excellent summation. So don't get down the wrong path with these trouble-making people or evil people. Know who you're associating yourself and who you're friends with. All right. Let's move to the other verses. So the benefits of good companions, the happy side. Proverbs 17:17, a friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. What does that say to you?
Phrase through thick and thin comes to mind. Doesn't matter good times or bad, they're a constant
Through thick and thin. Born in adversity. Have you ever gone through a trial with somebody and come out stronger on the other side? Like, it is a natural bonding event. That's a thing. Born for a brother born for adversity. That kind of bond is like nothing else. Going through adversity. What else sticks out to you? Yeah. That's a good point. There are challenges in life. I knew a family that they had a child with Down syndrome that lived for a very long time, and thinking of the adversity that they faced. Those are years and years of going through things. And that's just one example of adversity that can take a long time. All right, Proverbs 27:10. Go ahead.
I was just going to say it's the opposite of fair weather friend, right? So I think the thing about it is you kind of know if people really are your friends, if they're still there when things are not good, right? So it's kind of a proof of solid friendship or not solid friendship, because when there's nothing that person can give you back and they're still there, that shows that that's true friendship.
That's good. That's good. That they're still with you. And I think we've probably had people in our lives that when the going gets tough, they got going. It's a good comparison. All right, Proverbs 27:10. Do not forsake your own friend or your father's friend, nor go to your brother's house in the day of your calamity. Better is a neighbor nearby than a brother far away. Now, this one took me a couple of reads going through. Forsaking your own friend or your father's friend. Going to your brother. So I read that, I'm like, why would I not want to go to my brother in the day of my calamity? What's going on? But that last section is what brings it home. Better is a neighbor nearby than a brother far away. So we kind of talked about this in the beginning, neighbor and brother. They might be your blood relative, but if they're far away from you emotionally or physically or whatever that is, even a neighbor is going to be better. What else do you guys see in this?
Maybe it's kind of about like how as you go through life, you grow apart from some people, and sometimes you try to like hang on to that friendship, even though you're at different stages in life, they're in different places, and you forget to look at the people that are like sitting right next to you that maybe can be that friend.
Yeah, I think it's a really good point. Like the different stages in life, you want to have the right person. Good. All right. The time is moving faster than I want it to. Proverbs 18:1, a man who isolates himself, an unfriendly man, seeks his own desire. He rages against all wise judgment. I'm going to paraphrase this in one of my favorite sayings. Learn from other people's mistakes because you won't live long enough to make them all yourself. And I think that's the idea here is we've all had times where we thought we had a really good idea. We put it forward and realized there was a bunch of holes that could have been poked and should have been poked in it. So go to other people, trust in others. That's what those friends are there for. Don't isolate yourself. It's compared to raging against all wise judgment. All right. Proverbs 27:9. Ointment and perfume delight at the heart, and the sweetness of a man's friend gives delight by hearty counsel. The pleasantness of one's friend springs from his earnest counsel. I see this as being genuine. As you've got a friend that you know them. And so you do have that trust, the sweetness of that friendship, that genuine friend, genuine at the core. Just anything in this one that someone wants to bring out?
It makes me think of those people that when they speak to you, your ears are always listening for wisdom. And it is so good to get a morsel of that sometimes. It's so helpful and sweet. And so, especially if someone's been through that situation before.
A perfume delighting the heart, that calming effect or wonderful effect they can have. There's power in good friendships. All right, Proverbs 27:17. As iron sharpens iron, so a man sharpens the countenance of his friend. What does sharpening iron in a friendship look like?
Positive influence of that person make them happier
Yeah.
because of the friendship.
Influence, good. What else? Does it sometimes look like conflict? They like to talk in the workplace a lot about healthy conflict. What would conflict with your friend look like as opposed to the bad friend, the evil person?
Is it impact or an improvement rather than destruction?
Ooh, I like that. The iron sharpening iron, it's impact for.
True friend will try to make you a better person. So the conflict may come. You may be wanting to do something that's not really right. A friend can call you on it. There's some conflict there.
We talked about adversity and the brother and that friendship. This is what that is that those times where you help each other, whether it's through conflict or positive influence or whatever that may be. Very famous passage, right? Iron sharpens iron. That's what we are called to be for each other. It's beautiful.
In the evil company section, Proverbs 13 said that those who walk with wise will be wise, and I think that that's the flip side of the evil company, that the people that walk through life with you challenge you, and you learn from them, and you learn with them, and if they are wise, you will be wise, and if you are wise, they will be wise. It's a symbiotic relationship.
It's a great plan. Wish I thought of it, yeah. We rub off on each other. Good. Proverbs 20:29. The glory of young men is their strength, and the splendor of old men is their gray head. So thankfully for us, Alan Shell has both. Strength and the gray head. You can tell him I said that too. I wish he was in here. But to me, this is saying, at different stages of life, you're going to have different strengths. You're going to have different things that you can do better than the other. Anything else you guys see in that one? That's good. That's good, yeah. Similar to in the body, we all have different roles and different things. Friends with different abilities is very, very helpful. Good. All right, the last one in this section. He who walks with wise men will be wise, but the companion of fools will be destroyed. I feel like there was one similar to, it was that exact same verse. So we've covered that one. Good. Ways of maintaining godly companions. Now, this is important. You've got a good friend. How do you make sure you don't mess it up? A brother offended is harder to win than a strong city, and contentions are like the bars of a castle. I love a good analogy. What are the bars of the castle they're supposed to do? Yeah, keeping people out. They usually do a pretty good job defending the castle. A brother offended is harder to win than a strong city. So what should we not do? To the best of your ability. This is not saying you will never, it's a fun buzzword right now, you've offended me. But it's saying care for them, right? Apply these other verses. Be that iron. Be a friend to have a friend. Be that iron that wants to sharpen. Look out for them. Try to be the ointment for their heart, as we talked about before.
I think maybe it's also talking about to you and having for you not to be offended. I think that, because a brother offended is harder to win than a strong city. If you let yourself be offended, that friendship is going to suffer. And just thinking about if you're truly a friend with that person, that person did not mean to offend you in a way that would keep you from being their friend. So I think you need to check yourself, like you just said, everybody's offended at everything. So check yourself and make sure that you're not that person that's going to be offended by your brother who is maybe not meaning it in that way. And a lot of times too, and this may be off subject of this one, but when a person is trying to guide someone that's your friend, you know that person really well, and you can sometimes become offended by that person calling you out on something that you've done. So look at that person saying that thing to you in love, and don't be offended, because then you hold that grudge. Maybe that it's going to be harder than to get through than bars. You have control of that. We have a choice. So
I'm really glad you made that point. Looking at this from the perspective of being the brother who could be offended, wanting to trust that they had good intentions, wanting to give the benefit of the doubt. Again, there are bad people in the world, as Jacob said. The phrase I like to go along with this one, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. So choosing to be offended, you're not helping the situation. That was a very good point. Yes?
Well, that depends on your approach to people.
Yeah.
You can sit there and jam it down their throats, or you can be friendly and discuss it with them. And there's a big difference, and it's again back to the same point. You don't want to offend them, but you do want to tell them the truth. So your approach is what counts.
You go to your brother in love. It's not just, hey, you're wrong. That's not how we approach a brother.
And nobody's going to listen when you jam it down their throat.
So another side of this, the person who is offended should be willing to forgive, not even just willing, but eager to forgive and forget, to make amends.
Yeah. I like how you said that. We should be eager. We should want for that opportunity. You guys are stealing some thunder from my last points, so we'll move on. Proverbs 25, 8 through 10. Do not go hastily to court, for what will you do in the end when your neighbor has put you to shame? Debate your case with your neighbor, and do not disclose the secret to another, lest he who hears it expose your shame and your reputation be ruined. I think this goes in line, too, with what we've been saying about put yourself in both scenarios, right? Would you want someone to badmouth you? I mean, saying going to court means it's what? Who knows? Everybody knows. It's public. Everybody's going to know. And then you thought you were taken to court and found out, oh, no, you were in the wrong. So saying, as much as is possible, try to work with each other for a common good. You wouldn't want your name to be run in the mud. Don't run their name in the mud. What else from this one? As we have 2 minutes. Okay. Last verses, 25:17. I love this. Seldom set foot in your neighbor's house, lest he become weary of you and hate you. So we're looking at how you keep your friends, how you keep your brothers. What is this saying? Yeah. There is a level of too much. Right? As we were told before, don't isolate yourself. But it says seldom set foot. I think it's saying don't do it all the time. Don't be the opposite. Be like, hey, and just hang on every word or follow somebody around like a lost puppy.
Respect people's boundaries.
Yeah. Understand that people will have boundaries, and they'll have different boundaries. You may be just fine. You're like a close talker, right? I want to be right of it. They may be okay with that distance, maybe you're not. Find the balance, read the room, figure out where you're at. All right, last verse, 27:14. He who blesses his friend with a loud voice, rising early in the morning, it will be counted a curse to him. So, there was a book a while back, and I know I've said the comment here, but I love the phrase, when you're arguing with someone, you can be right, but wrong at the top of your lungs. And so, how you say what you say matters. What else do you take from this?
I took it kind of the same way you did. You could be doing the right thing at the wrong time. You just gotta use judgment. Or it will be, you gotta do something.
Right thing at the wrong time. Another good way of saying it. We've talked through the evil side of things, the good side of things, and then how to keep your good companions. I hope that we will look at this and just kind of do a little mirror self-assessment check and make sure we're trying to do what we need to do. Thank you for your wonderful comments. This went way faster than I thought it would, but we got through it all. So thank you.